President Obama is on his way back to the White House this morning after a swift and top secret visit to Afghanistan.
He was there about 6 hours and he delivered the first ever live presidential address from inside a war zone. ABC's Karen Travers is live in Washington with the details. Good morning, Karen.
Good morning, Sunny. Good morning, Rob. Last night, the president took credit for a strategy that he says changed the tide in Afghanistan. After a decade of war, the president declared the end is near.
It was an historic moment, the first time a U.S. president addressed the nation live from a war zone.
My fellow Americans, we've traveled through more than a decade under the dark cloud of war. Yet here, in the pre-dawn darkness of Afghanistan, we can see the light of a new day on the horizon.
It's no coincidence that the president picked the one-year anniversary of the raid that killed Osama bin Laden to make a surprise visit to the place that was once the terror leader's stronghold.
This time of war began in Afghanistan, and this is where it will end.
Under the cover of darkness, Air Force One landed at Bagram airfield Tuesday evening. President Obama and Afghan President Hamid Karzai signed an agreement on the U.S. role there after 2014. That's when Afghan forces are expected to take control of their nation's security. But the deal is limited. It doesn't outline any specific troop levels or funding levels after that point. There are roughly 88,000 U.S. forces in Afghanistan right now. The surge troops are scheduled to come home by September, the remainder by the end of 2014. A senior administration official said it was important for the president to sign this deal in Afghanistan to reinforce the message that even after troops leave, the U.S. remains committed to the Afghan people.
The reason that the Afghans have an opportunity for a new tomorrow is because of you.
The latest poll from ABC News and the Washington Post found that 66% of Americans, that's a record high, say the war in Afghanistan has not been worth fighting. Rob and Sunny.
And Karen, it's certainly good to see that there is a long-term, roughly a 10-year plan, plus for the security of that country. But already we're seeing how tenuous things still are there all these years later. What can you tell us about these explosions in Kabul this morning, just hours after the president left?
Rob, this attack shows that this is clearly still a war zone. There are reports that at least 6 people have been killed in a series of suicide attacks. There were 3 explosions. They were followed by gunfire. The Taliban has claimed responsibility in a statement. And Rob and Sunny, they say this was in direct response to the president's visit.
And Karen, you've been on these secret trips to Afghanistan before. Many people were surprised that the president just arrived in Afghanistan. Can you tell us a bit more about how those arrangements are made?
Complete secrecy, Sunny. If any word leaks out that the president is going to a war zone, they might have to call off the trip because that could risk the president's safety. The reporters on the plane, it's a very small group. They are not allowed to report the president is there until he has landed or until the White House says it is okay. Today, in that instance, it was a couple minutes after they had already been on the ground. As you said, the president was only on the ground for a short time, less than 7 hours. It is very key, the timing there. He arrived in the dark. He left before the sun came up. That is all because of security. These are very, very tricky trips to pull off, but this is the president's 3rd trip to Afghanistan. All have been a secret. Rob and Sunny.
ABC's Karen Travers live for us in Washington. Thank you, Karen.